Hearing protection, again, man, coming through the shop several times yesterday, man, it was quite noisy in here, so remind guys that are just coming in and out, and if you're working in the shop, gouging, hammering, noise level gets real high in here. Make sure you put some hearing protection in your ears. Try to protect your hearing. Housekeeping. Shop looks good this morning. Glad you guys took the time to kind of clean up. Try to keep up with it, fellas. We're pulling out a lot of leads. We're pulling out a lot of extension cords, trying to route them in such a way where we're not creating trip hazards for people as they come through the shop. Working at heights. I just want to kind of discuss a little bit about where we should head as an organization when we're looking at continuing working on a skid like this with scaffolding. We should put some integral SRLs on there. SRL will be hooked to the scaffolding itself or to the component, tie a piece of rope on it, and as you climb up and climb down, you're always hooked up. When you get up there to do your work, if we need another SRL, if Tony does not have enough to complement the skid, we'll order some. But we need to think ahead, and we need to just not do something 100 times if we can have something there to make it easier for us to make that transition. Also notice a lot of times with an SRL, a lot of you guys are looping around and tying back into your SRL. And that's pretty much a no-no, fellas, especially if you're working at a significant height because of what can happen when you fall. And if you fall and when the hook comes all the way up and it cinches up tight, you can put forces against the gate that they're not made to take. So we've got straps. Got a bunch upstairs. Tony has some. Get in the habit of using a strap. You can choke this strap up and make it as short as you want to. It'll move around a little bit better for you if you're working over a piece of pipe. But that's the engagement. You want to be in a D-ring with a locking hook. You don't want to be in anything other than a D-ring with a locking hook. Make sure you got your equipment on properly. Make sure you got the right equipment. Make sure you got the right hookup. That's going to determine whether or not it works for you. All in all, good job, fellas. We've had an ungodly amount of work take place this week, and it's all done with a level of proficiency and a level of safety that's appreciated by myself, the safety department, and the organization. And speaking of the organization, I'm going to bring up cards again, fellas. We went through a week of storms, and the company saw fit to try and pay everybody. I don't know if you guys realize it, but it's not me up here with a wish list. It's me up here with the organization's wish list. I'm not asking for any personal favors from anybody. I'm following the guidelines of the safety management system, which is pretty explicit about participation is what makes the program. I'm not saying we don't participate, because certainly looking at our accident rate right now, you guys are doing the right thing. But I would ask you, when you get an opportunity, when you see something, take a VersaCard and fill out that card. That's the way I can substantiate that you guys are participating. And without that, it's kind of hard to substantiate that fact. So take the time, supervisors, give the guys the time to fill out a card, and make sure that we're doing this. It's part of what the company wants us to do. It's part of a benefit to us by understanding what's going on the yard. It's part of a benefit to you guys by being able to suggest maybe a better way to do something, a more efficient way to do something. So let's keep that program live, fellas. I don't think we ask a whole lot of you guys, and I think we try and provide you guys with what you need. And that's all I'm standing up here and asking you to do for us. So we sure would appreciate it. What y'all got? Let's hear something. Every piece of equipment, every time you use it, needs to go through an inspection. With some things, it's quite simple, and it doesn't take any time. With an appliance that's made to save your life should something happen, you need to spend a little time with it before you put it on, fellas. What an SRL requires is pulling it out all the way, going over the webbing all the way. If it's wire rope, looking at the wire rope all the way. Give it a little tug, make sure that it works for you. Look at the locking hook connection and look at the carabiner or whatever connection's on the other end. Check your strap out, check your harness out. Once you feel good about your equipment, put your equipment on. That needs to happen every time. It needs to happen when you come back from lunch. You need to look at your equipment again. Make sure nothing happened to it while you were away. This is, in most cases, a little 2 to 3 minutes of your time before you get up there and find out that you have something on that didn't work. And you're going to find out the hard way. So take the time to do it and make sure that our equipment is ready to do what we need for it to do. Make sure it's the right equipment to do what we need to do. If you have any questions, get with someone and we'll guide you down the right path. Who else? Job-specific JSAs. Again, just to walk you through how we do it, we get the JSAs in pretty much daily. Chris Harvey looks at them. I try and go through them. We substantiate how many of them, in our opinion is based on some facts, are worthy. We run a high percentage of good JSAs. You guys are doing a good job with that. We keep a total count of JSAs and then we keep a count of how many pass muster. If you're not turning them in, we run a cumulative number weekly on JSAs. Your number starts looking bad, your number starts looking low. We don't know if you're turning them in or not. We're looking at what we pick up and we're keeping track with the totals. So if you don't turn them in, your number gets real low, and we actually, we found out in the rigging side, on the rigging side, that there was just a bunch of JSAs that had not been turned in. So we got them all into the system. Make sure you turn in your JSAs, ideally, at the end of every day. And I'll continue to do what I've been doing, pick them up in here, pick them up at the other little spots. But on the shipping and receiving side, I do have a bin in there. You can hand them the road, you can bring them in, put them in my bin. Let's try and get them in every day. That just makes it a little bit cleaner for us. If we have an accident, a JSA is not the first place we go to, but at some point or another in the investigation, we want to look at the JSA. And if we're not getting them, we're not going to have one. If we don't have one, that certainly never looks good, fellas. So keep up the good work on the JSAs. Make sure you turn them in. Who else? Sausage next Friday, fellas. Coop.
Hey, you got anything to say? You could have watched this, you and Bill, checking out, watching it, did I just say something, observation or anything?
I think yesterday afternoon when y'all were putting that thing on top, y'all did a great, Mike and whoever helped Mike Miller out when they secured the sides that did not have railings. I think that was an excellent job to secure everything that y'all did. And y'all were watching y'all's hands and y'all were watching the movement. Y'all took very good directions from Lynn and from Mike. So I think y'all did very well. Very well.
Good. Good job. I think in most cases, fellas, again, we all understand, with a plan and with everybody that's going to be in the process understanding what the plan is, we've got no issue. It's when we don't plan, it's when we work our way into let's try this, let's try that. When we work our way into using something for a hammer that's not a hammer, that we run into situations. And as long as we stay away from those habits, because they're habits, fellas, and sometimes what you're going to do, you might know what you're doing, but the guy watching you might not be as efficient with it. So when you're doing something that's not necessarily the right way to do it, others may be watching you. And as I've said from Jump Street, we want to develop the good habits, and we've got new people over here, and we've got orange hard hats, and we want them to develop the right habits. To make sure we're doing the right thing the right way. Anybody else? We'll do some sausage next Friday. Appreciate it, fellas. Y'all have a good day.